All right, so let's talk about tyranny, oppression, misinformation, and the coronavirus in Australia. Let's get into it. So I just want to welcome everyone to my page. Thanks for coming along. Don't forget to hit the like button. And if you have not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to hit the little notification bell so you can get notified of my latest content. And I also want to encourage everyone to please comment whether you like or disagree, agree with me. I want to get your feedback, get the conversation rolling. All right, so let's get into it. All right, y'all. So I want to talk about what's happening in Australia right now. Why? Well, because for one thing, we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same struggle. We are witnessing perhaps the biggest finesse in the last century, maybe even longer than that. And once more, is what's happening in Australia can just be a precursor of what could happen in your own country. We already see what's going on in the UK. I reported on this about a little over a week ago with what Prime Minister Boris Johnson did with the additional lockdowns and the rule of six. And it could be coming to the United States as well. So we all need to be on the same boat, aware of what's happening, informed, so that we aren't taken advantage of, so that more of our basic rights aren't trampled on for no good reason. All right. So essentially what's been happening in Australia for a while now has been an extension of further lockdowns. And I think they're calling like stage 4, what have you. And they are seeing curfews. People are not allowed to go outside after a certain point. Restricting gatherings, even in your own home. You're getting arrested for a Facebook post, i.e. Zoe Lee, I believe her name was. I did a video on that as well. Feel free to look at the links to both my UK lockdown videos as well as the Zoe Lee situation that happened in Melbourne, Australia, where she made a Facebook post about, hey, come September the 5th, Freedom Day, we need to remember our freedoms and stand up to the craziness of this unconstitutional lockdown. And before the event even took place, so the event was supposed to take place September the 5th, so you're talking about around September the 1st, I believe it was, September the 2nd, she gets arrested. Your freedom of speech is being trampled on. Freedom of assembly, and for what? Australia is a country of just under 25 million, if I'm not mistaken, and you have seen around only 800 deaths. A country of 25 million, and you've seen only a total of 800 deaths, or 816 as of today. Let's also look at the numbers. All right, so they'll make the argument that we're doing this for your safety. Well, let's take a look at the numbers of who is dying of this, who is succumbing to this virus in Australia. Let's take a look. So as you can see, the overwhelming majority of individuals succumbing to this virus are people over 70, not just 60 now. In Australia, you saw the numbers for 60 was even low, but it just exploded for those over 70. So your at-risk population are the elderly 70 years or above. It was statistically 0 for anyone under 60. All right, so now let's take a look at, they'll say, well, cases are rising. And be mindful, I'm talking about this because this can be coming to your own country. It's already happened in the United Kingdom. So to my Brits, people in the UK, holler at me in the comment section below if you can relate. So they're talking about the rising cases in Australia. Let's take a look at that demographic. So, okay, there is a spike in cases. And look who the majority of people who are getting it. They're all young people. The overwhelming majority of individuals, according to that graph in Australia, who are testing positive. And mind you, these are test positive, not hospital admittance. Big difference, because the initial argument was, let's flatten the curve so that we don't overwhelm our healthcare system. Healthcare system is not being overwhelmed. These are just rising in cases of test positives. But you notice, now let's put that together with the deaths. Majority of young people in their 20s and 30s, overwhelmingly representative in that number, yet almost virtually non-existent in the death count. Do you need a curfew? And let me show you the figures for, just a quick peek of, who's actually symptomatic. So last I read in most recent study and their number on the topic, and I don't think they want to do any more because it gets embarrassing, over 80% of Australians who get the virus are either asymptomatic, meaning they show no symptoms whatsoever, or very mild. Mild, so mild, you still don't even know you have it. Maybe a sore throat for a day or two, maybe brief loss of taste, or brief loss of smell, but life still goes on. You can still go about your normal daily habits. Overwhelming, that's 80%. And that number is including the at-risk people, i.e. the elderly, who are succumbing to it. So if the elderly people are the ones bringing that number down, if you eliminated them from the equation, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to believe then that the real number of mild, or percentage of mild and asymptomatic individuals, is probably closer to 95%. So they are locking you down, closing businesses, initiating curfews, and arresting you for the freedom of speech for a virus that has only killed about 800 people in a country of 25 million, and is only attacking the elderly. I mean, anybody can get it, as you can see from the cases. But are they getting ill? Are they showing any serious symptoms? And if the answer to that is no, what's going on here? I mean, one off from the UK just to talk about, one off from Australia to talk about the UK, at least they're being somewhat honest in that they're admitting young people are testing positive because they're increasing the number of testing. So they're testing, young people are testing positive, but they don't even know they have it. They're calling them the spreaders. You don't want to kill granny, but we're admitting that young people are getting it and they don't even know they have it. Why can't we just pass laws and focus on the people who are at risk? Because this translates all over the world. It's no different no matter where you're at. The elderly people are the people primarily at risk of this. And anyone who's under 60 or under 70 years old, if you have a serious pre-existing condition that makes your immune system somehow extremely weakened and or somehow compromised, because you're overweight, you're obese, high blood pressure, high type 2 diabetes, you have COPD, asthma, some severe respiratory issue that has strained your immune system. So you add COVID-19 on top of that, body can't handle it. Why can't we just focus our attention on those who are at risk, since it doesn't appear to apply to the general population? It's about control. It's about tyranny. Like I said, this is the biggest finesse we've probably seen in human history, or at least within the last century at the very least. I don't want to undermine what the Roman Empire did when they took over the various countries and Christianized, the nations, etc. But we are being played. They talk about rising cases in a lot of these countries. So again, back to the UK, back to Australia, they're talking about rising cases, but are we seeing rising hospitalization, rising number of people suffering from more moderate symptoms that may not require hospitalization or may not kill them, but it's still debilitating? The answer to that is no. But they're saying we're seeing a rise in cases, and we're hearing that argument here in the United States as well. We really need to arm ourselves. They'll try to say you're a COVID-19 denier. No, we're not denying that there is a virus going around. We're not denying that the idea that the virus is not real. It is real. What's not real is the reason why they're making all of these draconian laws to keep us in what I like to call a prison planet. They're trying to turn your home into a prison cell. I mean, there are multiple forms of control. One form of control, someone once said, is when you are sitting in a prison cell and you can see and feel the bars, you can touch it. The other form of dictatorship is when you're sitting in a cell, you can't see the bars, but you think you're free. And that's what's going on right here. And we need to rise up and say, we ain't having it no more. We're not believing your lies. So that's it. I really wanted to talk about what's happening, or what's going on in Australia right now regarding their lockdowns, talk about the numbers and the reasoning, what's going on behind it. And then let's play that off of what we know what's going on in our own backyard. All right? It's very important that we educate ourselves of what's going on and, separate the facts from the fiction. And remember, some liberty isn't taken away from you sometimes in a single swoop. It's usually death by 1,000 cuts, and we need to be aware of the little things that they're doing, laws that they're trying to initiate. They're really pressing their luck lately, really stepping on the throttle on our necks harder than what they really should have. But it's time for us to wake up and rise up. So that's my message. I want to know what you think regarding COVID-19. Do you think, or do you agree with me that the government is using this as an excuse to initiate draconian laws, keep us less empowered, destroy our businesses so we're more dependent on them, maybe even shake up the natural world order as well as certain political landscapes? Or do you think that, hey, I'm just a COVID idiot, or a COVIDiot as they call it? I want to know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. If you agree with me, please hit the like button, share, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you do agree, because it's time for us to really uncover what's really going on and rise against it. I'm saying? We had enough. We ain't having no more. Otherwise it's going to be a revolution. We're not giving in to all of this. So that's all I had to say for today. Thank you for watching, and y'all have a great day. Viva la revolution.